always such a busy
We are ready to go when you guys are.
We're ready to go?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Randy, you want to introduce Luke?
Yes.
Hi, Luke.
Yeah, Luke is going to be here virtually over YouTube, I guess. Our new planning commission, Luke DeGran, he is going to take over Jim Pritchard's term. So, welcome, Luke, and thank you for being willing to volunteer.
Yes. Welcome, Luke. All right. Item number 3, the approval of the minutes from the November 16, 2021 meeting. I do have one change to the minutes. Item number 3, where it states it was a public hearing, it was not a public hearing. So just need to change that.
Thank you.
That was the only change that I saw.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes for November 16th, 2021 meeting.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. And Aaron will be abstaining because he wasn't here. Next item on the agenda this evening is the consideration and vote on the recommendation of a final plat for Paola Crossing. Highlands Paola LLC is the applicant.
Thank you. So this plat includes lot 1 and lot 2 of the Paola Crossings development. The development is currently zoned as thoroughfare access, which allows for a wide range of commercial and some residential uses. The minimum site area for commercial and TA is actually 1 acre. Lot 1 is proposed for 1.76 acres and lot 2 is proposed for 0.64 acres. According to our LDO, a commercial lot may be smaller if the minimum may be smaller than the minimum lot requirements. So minimum smaller than 1 acre if they add an additional 5% open space. So that would equal 20% open space, 25% open space instead of the current 20 open space. So staff would just have to ensure during the site plan process that on lot 2 that we make sure that they abide by the 25 open space requirement. There's a 25-foot building setback on the frontage line and also a 25-foot utility easement within that building setback. They mark the existing sewer easement as well, running along the west side of the property. The micro drainage plan has been submitted and reviewed by Wilson & Company. There are still a few comments that need to be satisfied, but the engineer was, he suggested that it would be okay for me to go forward with this. He was confident that they can work through those recommendations. So the planning commission would just need to take majority action to recommend this to the city council. We also have Steve here, the engineer for the final plat, if you have any questions for him.
I'm still concerned about drainage.
They're working through the micro drainage plan. You can go ahead and speak to them.
Steve Warder, 6127 Northwest Pine Ridge Circle, Parkville, Missouri, here on behalf of Highlands Development. The drainage, we're working through the study with your third-party review engineer. And I'm not exactly sure where the questions is, but let me explain what we're doing with this. Maybe that would help. Obviously, the property runs north to south. On the north end, there's an existing pond, like down on the south end in the middle, there was a pond that used to be there many years ago. Because we don't have detention on the south end, we are over detaining on the north end. So in other words, we have water coming in from us from north of us, it's off-site, that's coming into the property, going through the detention basin, and then it goes down to the south. Well, the south part doesn't have any detention, so it increases its number, obviously, because we have more concrete and all that. But when we go to the north side, we over detain the water coming in there to make up for the increase to the south. So what comes to the culvert, and I think that's one of Garrett's comments, Mr. Gus' comments, is to just verify that that culvert's not seeing any more water than what it is now. And I'm comfortable we'll do that, because when we over detain, we go beyond what was required on the existing anyway. So we should be fine with that.
Where it goes under the highway, under, as the drainage comes down on, would that be the north side of Dusty's? Okay, and then it goes under that, and then it goes under 169. And that's where I'm concerned about, because it looks to me, and I'm not, an engineer, but it just looks to me like there's going to be a lot of water trying to go through a pretty small hole.
Well, we're not draining anything towards 169. It's all going south to Baptiste,
Yeah.
to that culvert.
Right.
And we're not changing the drainage area going to that location. We're just putting concrete and asphalt on the south side, but we're making up for it on the north side. So in other words, let's say we've got existing now, we've got 200 CFS or 200, whatever number it is, going to the south. Okay, now on the middle part, the south part, we'll just break it in half. Let's say there's 100 existing. Let's say we go to 150 because of our improvements. On the north side, instead of 100 coming out of there, we're only going to have 50 or maybe 25 coming out. So in the end, your net total at the bottom is the same or less than what is going out now.
Okay.
So does that help?
Well, I trust you.
Well,
It helped me, so I appreciate that.
I just want you to be comfortable. And typically, when you get into these, you don't do that. But when you don't have room, and I mean, if you try to do a detention basin, you wouldn't have any development on that corner.
Right.
Obviously, it benefits both the city and us, because you're getting a commercial development of your tax dollars, and we're getting our property developed. But sometimes we have to do that to make that work. In an overall scheme of things, it's like the big lakes that the Corps put in. They don't put a bunch of them all along the river. They do one here and control it, and then it gets bigger than it controls. And that's where the Corps does on that. So hopefully that helps. And that's why you don't see pipes aren't going to run back from the south up north, because you're running uphill to get back into the detention basin. You're going to come south, and we'll over detain up at that part.
Yeah, so you're catching more water coming from the north.
We're actually catching all the same water, but we're reducing it at a lower rate to give you a net.
Right.
The net is the same.
So what's coming out, you're catching it, and then what's being released
Is
coming
less.
down is less.
Is less. That's the whole
Match up
scheme.
with what's down on the
That
south.
way we make up for the increase on the south.
Okay,
Okay.
And when I'm looking at your proposed rainfall calculations, and I'm looking at 7.35
Inches per hour.
inches per hour. I mean, it's going to handle that, right?
Yes, and the 7.35 is actually for a 10-year storm. A 100-year storm is going to be like 10.32 if it's on a 5-minute time of concentration. It depends on travel. Now, travel time, as long as that is from the north, that number will reduce, because the water doesn't, there's a way the hydraulics, and that's just the way the design is. But yes, we are designed for up to the 100 to be reduced
Okay.
at that location.
And that's just calculating the water coming in from the north. That's not calculating everything that's coming on to the west of where you're building.
In the end, when we come to the culvert, the there's culvert underneath,
Right,
the road, the heath, or what's, I don't remember, hedge. Okay, there's a culvert underneath hedge that's there, that's been replaced and not too long ago. All that's coming to that culvert underneath Baptiste. We're not increasing it. That's gonna be its normal flow. We're just decreasing our flow.
okay,
And so it's, in the end, and that's one of the comments, is we gotta make sure to prove to your third-party engineer that we're not increasing the flow at the culvert in Baptiste.
I'm not worried about the one at Hedge, Baptiste, I'm worried about the next one down the road.
Well, he's saying that it'll be the same thing as it is now.
Yeah,
It wouldn't
Or
increase.
less. Yeah, you mean beyond south of Baptiste?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not, when we release it, it should be releasing it the same or less than what it is right now on the north side of Baptiste. So when it gets to the one south, we're not gonna be affecting that based on the calculation.
okay, thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
I had a question about the traffic. I knew initially that this was planned to be a ride-in, ride-out.
Mhm.
Is that still gonna be that way?
Yes, the right-in, right-out was negotiated. I wasn't involved in that. It was negotiated with KDOT.
Right.
And there was a certain, I think there was even a fee that was paid, pretty good sized fee that was paid to be able to allow for that connection. It is a right-in, right-out. I think that's got me in there or whatever, but we're not allowed to have anybody come out there and turn left unless they really don't know what to do.
Right.
Mhm.
And will there be sidewalks on that side of the street?
As of right now, it looks like there's gonna be sidewalks going along the the west side of the entire property, so the west side of Hedge. So it would connect the sidewalks from the existing north towards the school.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to just space out, but I was picturing it in my mind.
It won't be along Baptiste, not mistake, but
No.
it will be going to the north.
I don't
And
think-
then all the interior streets, they require all sidewalks on the interior streets. So
And are those just standard width? I knew at some point in time, they widened some of the sidewalks further down near the schools.
Mhm.
But these are still gonna be the 5 foot wide kind of
Are
standard
you 4 or 5? I don't know.
4 or 5.
I believe it's 5.
I think it's probably 5, if I remember right. I don't know, Jeff, off the top of your head, what do you got on there? It's either 4 or 5. It's the standard size. I mean, it's gonna be, it's either 4 or 5.
That's all the questions I got.
John, you have anything?
Water was a concern, I think there was. If we never develops north of there. I don't know if it's your best, but in other words, there could be more runoff coming later on.
If anybody north of us, I think that's we're talking, our detention basin develops, they will have to detain to make up for their difference before it gets to our property.
Property north.
Yeah, the property north. I mean, the only other thing I could see that maybe would happen, and I doubt it, is if they would get together with ours and just make the detention basin bigger up there. But in the end, your net at Baptiste is not to change.
To be doing the same thing that you're doing essentially.
Okay.
Any questions? Ready to put it to the vote? All right. Any other discussion? Take the motion. I think so. Take the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat of Paola Crossings for Highland Paola LLC.
Second?
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, the next item is the consideration and vote on a recommendation of a final site plan for Paola Crossing Lot 1, Casey's Retail Company is the applicant.
And thank you for bearing with us through the process, because we had to have the plat get approved and then the site plan and the CUP, because they all have to go in order. So that's why this is kind of crazy. We don't have the public hearing first, but that is why. You can't have a site plan on something that doesn't exist yet, so that's why we had to go this route. So yes, lot 1 that we already discussed. Casey's General Store is looking at put a single-story building with the approximate gross square footage of 4,200 square feet. Let's see here, they comply with all the required setbacks that was given, the street setbacks for the building, as well as the parking setbacks. The parking required would be about 17, and they are proposing 21, and that's also not including the spaces for pumps. So you'll have 1 per pump on top of that as well. ADA space is 1 per 25, so they are providing 1, which is the requirement. They are providing a trash enclosure, a 20 by 20, it'll be behind the building, which you can see there as well. And they show that it's going to be enclosed with a gate. We already talked about the sidewalks to be on the west side of Hedge Lane. The signage plan, Casey has already sent a signage plan to review, just for preliminary comments, so I've been working through that. That is ultimately a staff approval, but I just want to give you a heads up that they are working through that as well. A landscaping plan is typically done, submitted during the construction phase, if not after, due to availability of plants. That's going to be hard. So that's usually done towards the end. Drainage calculations, we require them to supply some drainage calculations for the on-site drainage. And we had those reviewed by Wilson and Company, as well as same with the micro drainage plan. We thought that would be good to keep it consistent. Our reviewers said that they just had 1 minor revision, and then they would like a letter from the applicant stating that they will comply with the micro drainage plan. Other than that, it's just majority vote. And I also have Jeff here with SBView, the engineer, if you have any questions.
Have any questions? Okay. In that case, we can put it to a vote. Motion.
Make a motion that we accept the proposal on the final plat.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Next item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing for the consideration and vote on a recommendation for a conditional use permit for Casey's General Store. Casey's Retail Company is applicant. If you're from the public and you want to speak during the public hearing, please step to the podium and give your name and your address. All right. with that, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
I've got a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Public hearing is now open.
Okay. So, like I said before, thank you. Now that the plat has been approved and then the site plan, they would like to move forward with the CUP. So in order to operate a convenience store or fuel mart in the conditional, in the thoroughfare access, it requires a conditional use permit. I believe this was due to the fact that TA allows a wide range of residential and commercial. This was put in to allow, if this was going to be next to residential development, to give the planning commission some authority to establish some conditions to allow it to blend in and not harbor the neighbors. So according to section 21220 provides the criteria to evaluate the suitability for the conditional use permit. So we're just going to take a minute and go through those letters real quick. So A, the proposed use shall be consistent with the comprehensive plan's goals, purpose, objectives, and policies. Proposed use shall be compatible with the character of land in the immediate vicinity. C, the proposed use design shall minimize adverse effects, including visual impact on the proposed use on adjacent lands. And D, the proposed use shall minimize adverse impacts on the environment, traffic, congestion, infrastructure, and government services. Also, section 21222 provides the rationale for imposing any additional conditions for a development such as this. And we have A through F. The one I'd like to focus on would be D, imposing conditions that ensure that general purpose, goals, and objectives of the comprehensive plan and the ordinance are met, as well as prevent minimal adverse effects from the proposed development. Because so the condition that I'm proposing that we include in the conditional use permit is just that if a lighting plan is submitted, that the lighting shall have cutoff fixtures that follow the LDO requirements. So that way there's no spillage or limit spillage, and also limit driving distractions as people pull into the development on that corner. So that is a condition that I am proposing.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak? Okay. Hearing none, I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
I've got a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The public hearing is now closed. Questions, concerns?
Is there any concerns of the semi-truck traffic coming into the property or parking to go into Casey's, or? I don't assume there's any diesel, are there diesel pumps for the big trucks, or? I was just getting at congestion if you get a lot of them coming off the road.
Jeff Lawback, SBB Engineering, the civil engineering consultant for Casey's General Store on this project. So there is no dedicated like overhead diesel pumps that they do at some of the locations. There will be, some pumps on the end that do sell diesel that you'll see, but there's just 6 single pumps, single stacked, so they're not double stacked. There's just 6 pumps in a row or 12 fueling positions, which actually gives a little more room for traffic circulation. When we have the room or the site is big enough, they like to do the single row just to give more access for delivery trucks, the fuel tanker trucks. Just a little easier to move through the site. But yeah, with the public street, and then our access off that public street is 35 foot wide, which, Casey's does, that's their typical standard is 35 foot wide drive entrance.
Is Casey's closing down any of the other filling stations in town?
I'm not aware of that yet.
Okay,
I'm not sure if that would be.
it doesn't have anything to do with this, but I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
oh, yeah. Not aware yet.
Aaron, do you have any questions?
I don't, I did have the same question about the heavy truck traffic. But I think with the right in, right out, it will help alleviate, and with the addition of the public roads that kind of go around the property, they'll be able to maneuver that.
And with
Yeah,
the new right turn
right.
extension, that'll help a lot too.
All right. Yeah. That's the case. Nobody has anything else? I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Paola Crossing, parcel 1, with Casey's Retail Company as the applicant. Second.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I just see what the, thank you all, appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item is the Community and Economic Development Director report.
Sorry, shuffling papers around here. So I know we haven't met since December. We have a new council member, Kathy Peckman is now Ward 3, I'm sure we all know. And Lee House has taken over Artie's chair as mayor. The school board and city of Paola have made the initial steps to do a joint rec commission. The school board has appointed 2 members to the board, and the city of Paola has appointed 2 members to the board. One is actually in our presence, Mr. Aaron Nicholson. Yep, and the other city appointee is Tate Schumard. He is new to the community within the last year or so. He's a teacher at Garnett and a coach at Garnett. So we're excited to have him. He's a great applicant, so. I'm sure we all know that Sid has resigned. It was effective in December, voluntary resignation. I have been appointed acting city manager right now. The council hasn't really given me any direction on where they want to go in the future. They just keep saying, keep doing a good job, keep moving forward. So, okay, so I am wearing quite a few hats lately, but I have a great staff, and honestly, they get me through the day. Our motto is one day at a time, and I wouldn't be able to get one day at a time without them. So they have been awesome. Also pointing to that, we will lose a staff member on Friday who's sitting in this room as well. But we are happy to have her, and we are sad to see her go, but wish her the best of luck.
Thank you.
We ended 2021 with 472 permits, a little under what we did last year. And the CIP projects, the city council has issued temporary notes to start the initial phases, the engineering for a few of the CIP projects. The pool and Lake Myola Dam, they're hoping that we can fund actually the entire dam project with the temporary notes. That's kind of our top priority right now. And Wallace Park improvements, engineering only right now. So those are the initial steps they're taking for those. The comp plan, we are working through that. They are going to they're working through the initial rough draft. Lee House and I had a meeting, virtual meeting with them where they gave us just a brief overview of what they have done already. If you have not yet, you should be getting an email saying that there's an advisory committee on February 3rd, virtual, to go over the first part of the draft, and then another one to do the second part because it's a lot. So they didn't want to ambush everyone with the whole draft at once. After that meeting, they would like to go public with the draft, so we can get some input from the public before they finalize it for consideration. So that long road's coming to an end, so thank goodness, it's been a long haul, so.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about what?
The plan as it's coming together?
Just looking at the initial drafts, I'm excited. Personally, my favorite part is the housing. It's been taking a while because they realize that they are doing so much housing assessment that if they did just a few more elements of it, they would complete the housing tool, which is what's required to do an RHID. So they're pretty much doing that for free for us. That's why it took longer. So we will have all information to be able to apply for an RHID if that's something we would like to do in the future. So yeah, it kind of took a little longer, but I feel like it was beneficial for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that part. It's gonna be great, I feel like, so. The whole thing's gonna be great, but that, for some reason, that just made me really excited. It's kind of a fruit you get right after it, I think is why it's gonna be great, but. Other than that, I don't think I have any pending updates. Anything for me?
I have a question about the housing incentive program.
Sure.
Would you have numbers on that for this year? Would you know if I didn't know if we,
Mhm.
previously we capped it, that like 12 applications or something like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to say we lifted the cap,
We did.
but I just didn't know if that meant more housing, or I didn't know if it's slowed or if it's kept steady or.
It was renewed in September, I believe, and at that time, we had 10. So we did lift the cap,
Yeah.
but it's still getting used. So, yeah, absolutely. We have, every time we take it away, we have contractors asking for it back. So we know that at least it's working in some way. That's always encouraging. So. Anything else?
Anybody have anything else?
Anything you can tell us on the internet?
On the internet?
High-speed Wi-Fi, high-speed internet for the community?
We are working with a company that they are proposing, I'm waiting for the proposal. They're gonna put a grant together for us for the state broadband money that's coming up, to see if we can start initial phases for that. So, wait to hear for the proposal. And as soon as we get a proposal, it should move pretty quick. So, let's hope.
I'm a little curious on the deal for the U-Haul,
Okay,
where he's tearing part of the building out and adding on to it. Is that all above board?
it is. They have a permit to remodel it, and part of that was to take out the service bay and to make it storage, or not storage, an actual store. So they won't be servicing anything there. So they're just trying to make it aesthetically pleasing by putting in the windows and not just leaving a door. Yep, so they have a permit. They're just moving at their own pace. Yep.
Have anything else? Then I would make a motion to adjourn. I've got a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.